2012 World Championship silver medalist Elena Leonova commented on Adelia Petrosian's departure from Itari Tutberidze's group. How unexpected was Adelia's departure from Tutberidze's team for you? Any departure is unexpected because no one warns you. It's not just about Adelia, there have been many transfers in the world of figure skating, and each one is unexpected. It's unexpected, of course, but at the same time, I guess it's understandable. Could this mean the end of her career? Hardly. She's still a young athlete, so I think she'll still have a fighting chance. Perhaps she wants to change something, try something different. Of course, it depends on where she goes, but usually, with any transfer, they give her a year to adjust. We'll have to wait the season, and then we'll know. It's hard to say right away. There have been many situations like this where an athlete only started showing results after a year. For example, a prime example for me is Boykova and Kozlovsky. Obviously, Stanislav Morozov joined their staff last season, and progress immediately followed. But the guys left Tamara Nikolaevna Moskvina and were in decline for a while. But since last season, they've literally blossomed. It was great. It's difficult to make any predictions, if only because we don't know where Adelia has gone. Leonova said, "Is Adelia Petrosyan ending her career?" It sounds scary, because one of the iconic Russian figure skaters of recent decades clearly hasn't realized her talent. But she's reached a critical point in her career. First of all, this uncertainty surrounding Petrosyan is affecting the Russian national team. If the international ban had been upheld, the decision to put her sporting life on hold would have seemed logical, judging by the fact that the skater is studying at GITIS. Education isn't a formality for her, and that alone would have been enough to shift her focus, not to mention the rigors of post-Olympic recovery and the accompanying injuries. However, access to world competitions is already a powerful motivational boost, and for the Russian team, it's a reason to mobilize resources. Considering that only two of our athletes, Adelia and Petr Gumenik, have seen any international competition in the last 4 years, hope should, in theory, rest on them. This is especially important in the context of this season's hypothetical Senior Grand Prix. There are many factors at play, but it's not uncommon for one of the listed participants to withdraw, and theoretically, one of our athletes could be selected as a replacement. Then, Petr and Adelia have the best chances. Thanks to their international ranking, all other Russian skaters lack even that, and relevant experience. The situation with the World and European Championships isn't so clear-cut either. On the one hand, the rules for granting neutral status have been significantly simplified compared to the Olympic season, and almost no one is expected to have any problems with it. On the other hand, you can never be sure, and here, even as the closest reserve, Petrosyan is of enormous value to the federation. The judges know her, she's already gone through puberty, and she's already been granted the coveted status, the first among all the current leaders. Not to mention, Adelia had every chance of retaining her leadership provided she had a full preseason. Russian Championship silver medalist Alisa Dvoglazova, who even before the current off-season seemed like the clearest contender for gold, will only return to the ice in mid-autumn after a hip injury, and it's not a given that she'll even be able to compete for the only quota spot. Two other candidates, Kamila Valieva and Alexandra Trusova, will return to the season after a long break, and it's difficult to predict how their return will turn out. The talented Sofia Jepko will appear at senior competitions, but is it safe to bet on her right away? Those remaining are the girls Adelia has already beaten, Maria Zakharova, her former training group colleague Daria Sadkova, and so on. One gets the feeling that Adelia's victory at the upcoming Russian Championships wouldn't be out of the question. The task is significantly more difficult than last season, but it's still achievable. And then come the season's main international competitions, the goal of which is to regain the maximum number of quotas for the coming year. To do this, we need to take first or second place at the World Championships, and Petrosyan would have a fairly good chance of achieving that. And if something were to go wrong, to earn two quotas, we need to finish in the top 10. That's definitely possible. And now, unanswered questions. On the one hand, Adelia hasn't commented on her immediate competitive plans. On the other, her departure from Itari Tutberidze's team in the midst of preseason training, which had already been proceeding at a leisurely pace, speaks volumes. According to RIA Novosti, the athlete doesn't intend to rush into choosing a new coach and could still miss a significant portion of the season while searching for the most suitable candidate. But even if everything comes together relatively quickly, it will take time to get back into shape, develop and practice new programs, and get used to the new coach. And it's scary to think there's not that much time left until the Russian Championships, just over 4 months. So, we have a huge pool of stars in women's singles, and losing Adelia is still extremely painful. I'd like to believe that our champion will finally sort out all her troubles, savor the joys of everyday life, and get ready to return to the sport. Alexandra Ignatova Trusova is preparing for a real fight after her return to the sport. Will she compete in this? Trusova is a rare figure skater who isn't afraid of the age limit. She benefits from both the old and new rules. Previously, she made the most of her youthful body for a technical revolution, and today she's making a historic comeback. After giving birth, usually, if they returned, it was in pairs: Irina Rodnina, Alexandra Stepanova, Tatiana Nevka. Trusova, who became a mother less than a year ago, is perceived differently. Her past obliges her to maintain her image, and her competitive present doesn't allow her to take a half step back. Plus, there are the natural limitations of her body and the fear of the unknown before international competitions, and yet, the chances of making a splash upon her return are high. Attentive fans noticed that Alexandra, her son Misha, and her husband Makar Ignatov, in the midst of preseason training, first ended up in Milan and then in Warsaw. While the first stop is always popular, the second certainly raised suspicions. It seems the skater had already arranged her American visa application in advance, considering that her first eligible international competition, Category B necessary for ranking gains, will take place August 6 to 9 in Norwood, USA. It's safe to assume Trusova's full competitive return will take place within a month, and one gets the feeling she won't be the only Russian skater there. Obviously, Alexandra is hoping to secure a hypothetical chance to qualify for the Grand Prix events. Many factors must come together for this to happen, but the first is the withdrawal of someone already selected. Then, the organizers could theoretically invite another skater of their choosing, and Trusova could be among them. In this regard, a show of force at Norwood or any other Category B tournament could have a key impact. Many would want to see Trusova in a vacuum and in competitive form. Anyone who can easily cross the border would want her, but this is still a theoretical possibility. It's more logical to consider domestic competitions now. The Russian Championships have grown in status, and they will now once again select skaters for the European and World Championships. To qualify for the main competitions, Alexandra will have to achieve the seemingly impossible: win the Russian Championships. Just a little over a month ago, the level of opposition was perceived somewhat differently. Elisa Dvoglazova was available but suffered a hip injury, and it's not certain she'll even recover in time for the Russian Championships. There was no doubt about Adelia Petrosian. Now, if the road hasn't cleared, it's at least a little clearer. Her competitors are still very strong: Kamila Valieva, Maria Zakharova, and Daria Sadkova.